So today we're going to be exploring the how and what of introducing solids. So once you've looked at whether your baby is ready to start solids, then you get to move on to the fun bit of actually introducing the solids with them. So normally we look at 3 stages of introducing solids to help build up your baby's confidence with tackling foods for the first time. Alright, so our first stage is starting with smooth pureed foods, then we would move along to lumpy or mushy foods, and finally we'd get up to finger foods. And this is going to take across the first sort of 6 months of introducing solid foods. So from when they first start at that 4 to 6 months up until 12 months, this is the transition you're looking at going through. These stages help build up a baby's confidence with trying new foods and hopefully building up a range of foods that they're going to be eating by 12 months. It's good to remember that up until 12 months, most of baby's nutrition is going to be coming from breast milk or formula. So during that first period of introducing solid foods, it's all about exploring different foods, different textures with your baby and building up that confidence that they have with foods. By 12 months, we want babies to be hopefully eating a range of foods from the 5 food groups. So when we're looking at the 5 food groups, we're talking about things like grains and cereals, fruits, vegetables, dairy products, and sources of protein like meat or other alternatives. So the first stage of foods that we want you to start with are those smooth pureed foods. And the reason we recommend this is the consistency is almost similar to thick milk. So it's not too different for babies who are used to only ever having breast milk or formula. We recommend it's best to start after a baby's already had a milk feed. So you can imagine if you've never had solid foods before, it's going to be a pretty daunting and scary thing to have in your mouth for the first time. So we suggest offering it to them when they're not too hungry and they're fairly settled and happy. Initially, it's going to be really small amounts of food that they're having, so it might only be half a teaspoon up to a tablespoon in one sitting. So it's really good to prepare it in bulk so that you've got that food there ready to go for other times. You might find some babies will be eating a really small amount while other babies might be eating a few tablespoons straight away. Every baby's different and be guided by your baby and their own appetite at this time. So you might start in the morning after their morning feed, and then across the first couple of weeks we want you to increase this to offering them solids 3 times a day after their milk feeds. There's no particular order that we'd like you to introduce foods. We just want you to keep in mind those 5 food groups and hopefully building up the range of foods your baby's having to include those 5 food groups. The one thing we do get caregivers to think about is making sure that you're including iron-rich sources of food every day. So iron-rich foods that are great for babies include things like our iron-fortified cereals, so they have the iron added into them, or you can also look at including things that are naturally good sources of iron. So this might be things like our meat, our chicken, our legumes, our fish, those sorts of things. It's important to be including those iron-rich foods every day because babies' iron stores tend to drop off around this age, so we want to help boost it up by offering them those iron-rich foods every day. When it comes to making smooth pureed foods, some foods are really easy to make into this consistency. So if you think of things like stewed fruits or mashed up vegetables, they're very easy to make into that silky pureed consistency. And especially we often think about babies should be able to break it apart without there being any hard lumps in there at all. Some things like our meats are a little bit more challenging to get into that smooth pureed consistency. So we often encourage things like our stewed or slow cooked meats are a fantastic soft consistency, or some things like poached chicken breast or tinned fish or legumes or eggs are a little bit easier to get into that consistency. Because meats tend to be a little bit more firm, we also say that they're often really good to mix into things like your mashed potato, mashed sweet potato, mashed pumpkin. So you can mix in those foods so it's still that nice smooth pureed consistency and they're still getting those iron-rich food sources. When introducing solids to your baby, it's okay to give them small amounts of dairy, so things like some full cream milk to soften a Weet-Bix, or things like some cheese or yogurt in their diet. Milk shouldn't be offered as a drink to your baby until they're over 12 months old, so breast milk or formula will still remain their main drink during this time. When you're introducing solids to your baby, we also recommend you start offering them water at the same time. So whenever you're offering them solid foods, we suggest you offer them some water as well. Initially, they're only likely to take small sips, and that's okay. It's all about them building up the confidence of drinking water, along with the confidence of having solid foods. So we recommend just any standard sippy cup is fine. We often recommend it's better for it to be free flowing. So some of them have a valve in them to stop them spilling. We just recommend, if they've got one of those, taking them out and making sure it's free flowing so it's nice and easy for the baby to get the water out of the drink bottle. So this first stage of introducing those smooth pureed foods to your baby should really only last a couple of weeks. It's really just that first stepping stone of helping to build up their confidence with having solid foods. So within a couple of weeks, we're going to progress the baby onto more of the mashable or the lumpy and bumpy texture of foods. So this is really just a starting point and we'll progress on from there. So as you're introducing solid foods, remember this is a new exciting time for yourself and for your baby. So have fun with it, let them make a mess and be creative.